abandon me?
Well, if it truly bothers you, I suppose you could always surrender.
What?
Oh, yes. If you are going to surrender, make sure you do it humbly.
I hope this banquet, a symbol of my unconditional surrender, is to your liking. This is what you wanted, right?
It will do, I suppose. Well then, it's time for us to join the party.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters out of the latest game. Coming in at number 58, we have Jia Xu. Jia Xu is a strategist who has been highly praised for his sly wit. He first served Dong Zhuo, followed by Li Ju and Zheng Zhou, before surrendering to Cao Cao and becoming Cao Pi's Grand Commandment. Before we jump into who Jia Xu is and how he's changed over the past few games, let's take a look at the popularity polls to see why Jia Xu is number 58 on our list. In the first popularity poll, Jia Xu received 365 votes out of a total of 75,000, putting him at the 67th spot. And then in the second popularity poll, Jia Xu jumps all the way up to the 39th spot. And then in my personal rankings, Jia Xu is down at the 52nd spot. So like I said, Jia Xu is a strategist for the Wei Kingdom, one of the many strategists part of the Wei Kingdom. And he has been described as a person who shares the same intellect as Chen Ping and Zhang Liang. So Zhang Liang is the brother of Zheng Zhao, so he's the first person that you go against in the Yeltsin Rebellion. He's the guy, I believe, that calls upon either like the wind or lightning, and he was said to have the same intellect as somebody like him. Though he was valued by the Cao family, it was said that Jia Xu was a suspicious individual who was never fully trusted by his masters, which kind of makes sense because the way Jia Xu was, I guess, hired into the Wei Kingdom, the way he was brought into the Wei Kingdom, a lot of people had trust issues with him because of what he did prior to being, part of the Wei Kingdom and everything like that. The thing that Jia Xu is mainly known for before joining the Wei Kingdom is the Battle of Wan Castle. We went over the Battle of Wan Castle when we covered Dian Wei. Jia Xu is the guy responsible for killing Dian Wei, and his strategy is the reason that Dian Wei ends up dying. He dies at Wan Castle because of Jia Xu. Jia Xu was the strategist behind the plot to assassinate Cao Cao at the Battle of Wan Castle. So when Zheng Zhou's forces lost at Wan Castle and, Cao Cao captured everyone and he got to Jia Xu, he gave Jia Xu the option to either work for him or to die. And in Dynasty Warriors 7, 8, and 9, which is all the games that Jia Xu has been a part of, each game covers it differently on how he joins the team.
You killed Dian Wei and drove me to the brink. Your talents will serve to bring my rule closer.
But yeah, after the Battle of Wan Castle, Jia Xu surrenders, he gets captured, he is, accepting his fate of dying, but Cao Cao hires him into his ranks because of the talent that he shows in order to take down someone like Dian Wei, who was, again, considered to be very, strong and pretty much unmatched when it came to any other person on the battlefield. And with his design and Jia Xu's looks and stuff like that, it was emphasized with his appearance to first of all look like an assassin because that's what his role was in the game, and it's to also to emphasize Cao Cao's eccentric trait of hiring anyone solely on their talent. Jia Xu does not look like somebody you can trust, and I guess that's a perfect segue into his appearance. Might as well talk about it right now. Again, he's been in the game since Dynasty Warriors 7. He's only had 3 changes to his outfit, to his appearance since the first game, and he looks pretty much the same. I can't complain about how he looks at all. And the look that he was given, again, was to emphasize that Cao Cao doesn't care how you look. He just cares about if you are able to bring something to the table. In each game, it's relatively the same. Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8 was a little different. Cao Cao was a little bit more aggressive, I would say, to Jia Xu, as Jia Xu was a little bit more arrogant when he first joined.
You are a wise man, my lord.
If I find you are no use to me, you are dead.
Cao Cao versus Dynasty Warriors 8, where he was more shocked, and Cao Cao was a little less aggressive when he, first said, hey, you should join our ranks.
Allow me to ask you one question. Do you die now for your master?
I've lived my life for my talent, for my genius. I could have done more, but I have no regrets. Come, I'm ready. Do it.
Jia Xu, I ask that you use your talents in my service.
So that's pretty much all I have for his appearance. Again, he looks pretty much the same, and it really emphasized the assassin look and just the kind of character that Jia Xu was. When he joined Cao Cao's rank, he wasn't, he had the look, he had the aura, and the way he talked kind of made it seem like, he was a very suspicious character, but he doesn't do anything against Cao Cao or anything negative in order to harm him or whatever it is to, sabotage his efforts in order to unite China. Even though Jia Xu is not a loyal person himself and only is kind of loyal to himself and his talents, and wherever his talents take him, that's where he goes. That's why he serves so many different people. But when he got to Cao Cao and he got to the Wei Kingdom, he did everything in his power to make sure that his team, to make sure Cao Cao and the Wei Kingdom succeeded. He was part of many battles, which we'll go over a little later during his significant battles, but he played a big part in a lot of those roles as he provided many strategies to put them in the best position in order to win those battles to, potentially unite China under Cao Cao or the Wei Kingdom. Moving on to his weapon style, Jia Xu, one of the few characters that has the same weapon style throughout all of his appearances, and that is the chain and sickle. From the first game that he was in till now, Dynasty Warriors 9, Jia Xu has used the chain and sickle, and it's a decent weapon. I don't have anything against it. It's nothing, it's nothing too flashy, nothing too crazy that, would make me want to play it again, but it's nothing too boring or unusable to the point where it's like, man, this was really difficult. I had nothing to complain about with his weapon style. I thought it was just fine. And I guess it semi-fits him as a character and stuff like that. His Musou attacks for each game, I believe, was all the same. I'm pretty sure he had the same Musou attack for all the games as well. And the moveset, again, was very similar because he has the same weapon style. So why change it? And that's pretty much it for his weapon style. Short, easy. He only has one weapon. Very easy to get through. Now, moving on to his voice acting, he does have different voice actors for each of the games. I believe Dynasty Warriors 7 8 might have been the same person, but jumping from the 8th to the 9th game, he gets a different voice actor, but it's pretty much the same. I don't have anything against his voice acting. It's similar to his weapon style. I don't have anything to complain about. I think it fits him just fine. They all do a good job of portraying that suspiciousness, that slyness that he has, that, underhanded tactness that Jia Xu would use in order to get the upper hand on whatever he's trying to do. He's a strategist, but he's like the dirty strategist. Whatever it takes to win the battle, whatever it takes to win, he will do it regardless of morality or anything like that. Jia Xu is that type of character, and the voice actors do a great job of projecting that when he speaks and everything like that. Of course, again, Jia Xu, when it comes to the loyalty of Cao Cao and the Wei Kingdom, he still has that undertone of, he still sounds a little suspicious, but again, I think it's more genuine and more sincere of when he's actually trying to do whatever he can to help them, the Cao Cao and the Wei Kingdom win the battle or whatever it is they're trying to do. All right, now the final things we're going to go over is his relationship, his greatest, biggest battles, significant battles, and then of course his death. And I guess we'll start off with his significant battles, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because he's a part of a bunch of battles, and he played a big role in a bunch of them. The biggest one, of course, Wan Castle, and playing the role of trying to assassinate Cao Cao, kills Dian Wei. It's a very big deal, and he ends up joining Cao Cao and the Wei Kingdom after that. The Battle of Guandu.
At the moment, the two crossings at Bai Ma and Yanjin are under the control of Yuan Chao's forces. We start by raiding these locations. If we succeed in taking them, then we will have our bridgehead.
The decoy plan that's used in that scenario, or in that stage where they get Yuan Shao and they get Yan Liang and Wen Chou to come up to them and kill them, is Jia Xu's plan. That is his plan to get them to, Yuan Shao's best characters, his best, warriors and everything like that. That was Jia Xu's strength. He was the key strategist for the Battle of Guandu and a few other ones. For example, the Battle of Tong Gate. I did not know this, but in each of the installments where you play the Battle of Tong Gate, there is always a section where, regardless of which side you're on, you always try to persuade Han Sui to defect to the other side. Han Sui is always targeted for defecting from Ma Chao's side over to, Cao Cao's side. I didn't know that Jia Xu was the one who came up with that. That was Jia Xu's strategy.
It is time for you to move forward, my lord. If you could make for Han Sui's position.
Han Sui! I see you sow the seeds of distrust in the enemy ranks.
He was aware of Han Sui and Cao Cao's relationship. In each of the games, you approach Han Sui and you persuade him to join the other team. Even when Jia Xu wasn't a playable character, for example, like in Dynasty Warriors 3, I remember vividly when I was on, playing as Ma Chao or on the Ma Chao side, I would try so hard to make sure Han Sui does not defect to the other side because it was devastating to be Ma Chao, you know, on Ma Chao's team, and somebody defects, and then it causes morale to go down, and it makes the stage that much harder. But Jia Xu is the person behind that, and he is the reason that Cao Cao succeeds in the Battle of Tongate and everything like that. But Wan Castle, Guandu, and Tongate are the biggest battles that he plays a role in, and it was interesting to find out the Tongate thing, because again, playing the game for a long time, back from Dynasty Warriors 3, I always remembered that specifically because I like Ma Chao. You'll see that when we get closer and closer to the top of the list. But Ma Chao is one of my favorite characters, and when I played that role, I hated when Han Sui defected because it made it 10 times harder to get through that stage. All right, next up, we're going to go over his relationships and then his death. All right, so the main relationship that Jia Xu has, I would say, is with Cao Cao, Guojia, and Xunyo. Those are the three main relationships that I've noticed throughout the series of playing with him. Of course, with Cao Cao because he was hired by Cao Cao, and of course of what he did, to Dian Wei and everything like that. They built a bond and proved his worth to being in the, being in the kingdom, to staying in the kingdom. Because if he didn't prove his worth, Cao Cao would have killed him, right? Because he's not going to bring somebody in who kills one of his officers and then doesn't contribute to anything. So Jia Xu had that relationship with Cao Cao after proving that he was worth something. And then out of the people that Jia Xu was first introduced to and just kind of being screened by was Guojia and Xunyo. Mostly Guojia because Guojia had the first appearance in Dynasty Warriors 8 and Xunyo didn't come till later. But Guojia probably is the person that vouches eventually for Jia Xu, that allows him to stay in the kingdom alive. And that's what really kept Jia Xu, I think, from defecting or even just betraying Cao Cao because of that relationship he had with Guojia and perhaps even Xunyo, because him and Xunyo have I would say, a brotherly relationship. Jia Xu constantly makes, he's teasing Xunyo for how serious he is about his job. Xunyo eventually opens up a little later after Guojia passes away and stuff like that, and Xunyo kind of becomes the front runner of strategists for the Wei Kingdom. But Jia Xu is a little bit more carefree, I would say. He was a little bit more joking and stuff like that, and likes to tease, again, at Xunyo a lot because of how serious he is and how focused he is on his work and what he needs to do in order to make, because he's in the same role as Jia Xu. It's just that his specialty is a little bit different from Jia Xu, and he builds strategy throughout the series a little differently than Jia Xu does. He prefers to be alone while he thinks through what is the best option and stuff like that. And then, of course, with Guojia, again, the vouching, I think, is big for him. They had a lot of cutscenes in Dynasty Warriors 8 when Guojia was introduced, and they got really close. Then Guojia entrusted Jia Xu with, being the main strategist after he passes away and basically taking his place. Guojia, Xunyo, Cao Cao, and I'm sure lots of others from the Wei Kingdom acknowledged multiple times throughout the series the immense intellect that Jia Xu has. And with that earned his worth. That got everybody to trust him. And then finally, his death. Jia Xu passes away, I believe, in 223 from illness. He doesn't pass away in battle. He doesn't get assassinated or killed by anybody. He just passes away from illness, and I don't think any of the games cover it. I don't think any of them really mention it or anything like that, but that's pretty much it for Jia Xu. We went over his appearance, how he's changed. His weapon style is pretty much the same. It is the same from Dynasty Warriors 7 to 9. It's the same weapon. Voice acting was fine. Relationships with Cao Cao, Guojia, and Xunyo. Those are probably the closest relationships he's had. And then he had the battles. Tongate was huge for me to find out. He had the Guandu strategy. And, of course, the Wan Castle strategy for killing Dian Wei and being recruited into the Wei Kingdom. And then his death wasn't he just died from illness and wasn't really covered in any of the games. But that's all I have for Jia Xu here. He's number 58 on our list. Number 57 will be coming out here real soon. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. If you are, again, appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.